Welcome to Prime Pod. This is where we get to talk with industry leaders, builders, and individuals who are transforming the construction world. We dig deep to reveal the wins, the setbacks, and the real strategies fueling growth in today's competitive landscape. But before we begin, I want to mention that today's episode is brought to you by Prime AI Partners. Prime AI Partners helps businesses work smarter with AI-powered tools that boost leads, cut busy work, and scales profits fast. If you're interested in learning more, just DM me growth and we can chat about how to run faster and more profitably. And today we have Art here. He is the CEO and founder of Integrity Engineering and Design Solutions. He's a seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience guiding companies at the forefront of America's most advanced industries. And not only that, he's mastered the rare ability to bridge the gap between deep technical expertise and sharp entrepreneurial execution. And he's here to share what it really takes to lead innovation and drive results at scale. So thank you so much for being here today, Art. If you want to give everyone a quick introduction.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, to start us off today, I would love to kind of start at the beginning of your journey. How did you get into this industry? What drove you to where you are today?
Well, I've always enjoyed engineering or high technical positions, but what really drove me was I kind of got tired of being pigeonholed in positions doing specific tasks, duties that just didn't allow me to grow. For myself, I love to grow, and it felt like it was the right decision to make to become my own boss.
Yes, lots of benefits to that. But what have been some of the hardest parts of becoming your own boss?
Well, it's getting into a situation where you're constantly faced with new challenges, new items, especially, I've not having run a business before made it very difficult because there were a lot of nuances that I had to immediately take action on that made it a bit challenging. I mean, when you're starting to go from becoming an employee to becoming an entrepreneur, now you're having to think about finances, you're having to think of P&L statements, you're having to think of how to be able to manage projects and the books and everything else. I was fortunate enough to where my wife took on the accounting for me. She's an accountant. And that was, my CPA said that was the best move you could have made. So I got help along the way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's one thing that I cannot manage on my own either, doing the books.
He was like, I was about to stop you from being a client, but he said this was such a great decision that you made, and it was very much welcomed.
Good. Yes. And during the early days, what was like the biggest unknown that you had to figure out, would you say?
The biggest part of it was actually the first part of it actually came quite easy, which was how to be able to start taking on new clients, how to be able to start building the business with very little investment capital, and how to be able to not only get new clients, but to be able to sell technical jobs. And that came across pretty easily. But the biggest challenge that I actually had was when we hit the 2008, 2009 recession that we lost about a good 45% of the business coming in. We were looking at some very tight moments in the business. And one of the things that I did was I had to get myself out of the box. Is either making a decision to go back to becoming an employee or to move forward. And I made a very strong decision. I was going to go ahead and move forward. And I think what it turned out to be was one of the best decisions, because I just went out there and I started talking to competitors. I started talking to other businesses that were similar to mine. I was looking at companies that I could possibly team up with. And fortunately, it really produced some quite amazing results for us.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to go out there and talk to your competitors and other people in the industry, especially when you feel like you're still learning yourself, it sounds like. So, I mean,
absolutely.
What was the biggest benefit of going out and doing that, would you say?
The biggest part of it was, I got to say, really, it was moving the energy. It was moving my energy rather than sitting at home waiting, or at the office and waiting for something to come in, waiting for somebody to answer a phone call, waiting for whatever. It got the energy moving to where by talking to other people and other organizations, I began to uncover that it was through our collaborative efforts that we were actually able to take on bigger projects. And that's what I offered, was I was offering our services that other companies didn't have. And so when that happened, we were able to go ahead and start bidding on much bigger projects and programs. And when that happened, look out. I mean, the revenue started flowing in, because now the customers were no longer just, they were looking at, oh my God, I need somebody that doesn't just do this. I need a company that can be able to do this, this, and this. And when we were able to make those offers, we wound up getting considerable amount of new business coming in.
Wow, that's awesome. And so backing up a little bit, can you give the listeners just a little bit of an overview of exactly what you do on a day-to-day basis and what your business does?
My business, we're an aerospace engineering company, but we've also have done a lot of engineering services. We've also have done product development, product build. We've worked on programs such as the Orion Space Crew Vehicle, missile programs with Raytheon Missile Systems, multiple projects in the medical field, telecommunications. And it was because of what we were able to do by expanding our capabilities. We were able to go ahead and broaden ourselves to working in multiple industries. So our business, we do a lot of work for Honeywell, Lockheed Martin, and a number of other aerospace and Department of Defense companies.
Wow. Sounds like it's never a boring day. Lots of really amazing work that you're doing with so many huge businesses.
Yes.
In terms of getting your business up and running and to the point that it is right now today, what systems or processes have been kind of like the biggest game changers for you, just making sure everything's running smoothly?
Well, number one, it's having the right people with the right experience and expertise. Having those resources stopped me from having to learn everything. To be the do it all, say it all, be it all type of a position. And that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of not really bringing in the right talent, the right resources to be able to do these things. And that was one of the things that I found where I became very successful, was finding the right people, the right talent to help support, whether it was project management, project lead, whether it was finding people with the right level of experience and expertise. For example, even bringing my wife on board was one of the best decisions, because not only did she do the accounting, but she also handled the HR. She handled a number of other elements of the business, where we implemented web timesheet keeping systems, because we don't have a formal office. All of my employees work off-site at their homes, or some of them may show up at the business. And so that turned out very well for us, was to get the right tools that were going to support us the best way possible, so that everything would flow. So, for example, the web timesheet keeping system would flow directly into our QuickBooks account, and we would not have to worry about doing a lot of manual entry. So we try to automate as many things as possible to minimize the number of people we needed, as well as being able to make our process a lot more effective and less errors along the way.
Okay, awesome. And I think this is a challenge that so many businesses run into, but it is finding the right people. So how have you been able to find the right people? What's your trick to creating that culture, that dynamic on your team?
Well, one of the things that I did is I designed a program. When I went out and I tried to understand how is it that I can be able to not only find the right people, the right experience, the right expertise. The primary part was making sure that the language that I was speaking was the same language that the people that I was hiring spoke. In other words, I didn't have recruiters going out asking engineers about technical space questions, because most recruiters don't speak engineering. And so by having people with that experience, I was able to start finding the right resources, the right people. And sure enough, I took into account not only what their experience, their expertise was, but also what their communication skills were like. How would they interact with a customer? How would they interact with other employees? And so we had a number of elements that we took into consideration, and I called this entire process and trademarked it as Flex Interface Project Fulfillment, which means we can be able to bring the right resources into any project that at a moment's notice. So, for example, on the Orion Space Crew Vehicle, I didn't have all the talent that I needed to build these specialized test equipment. And within 10 business days, I was able to get all the right people, all the right resources, and be able to bid on it and win the contract.
That is impressive, especially with a contract with that type of visibility. I mean, that's a big contract, right?
A huge contract.
Yeah.
We're talking 7 figures easy.
Yeah. Wow. And just being able to do that in 10 days, I don't think anyone can do that. So it's very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. And so, I mean, you're very motivational. You are, quite the entrepreneur yourself. What advice do you give to those out there who are trying to build something amazing, something special like you're building?
Well, I would say there are several elements. One of it is be sure that you really keep in step with your values so that anytime that you run across situations that you run across something that you're not familiar with, one of the first elements that sometimes comes up is, oh my God, this is too big to handle, or the fear comes up, or the anxiety comes up. And I've gone through so much fear and so much anxiety that I eventually had to learn that I made these decisions because they were in alignment with my values. And by being able to do that, helped me to be able to recognize when I would get into those fearful states, then I would be able to reframe those states that it's not a problem, that this is a new challenge. This is just a new opportunity for me to be able to take on. And so I'm changing my mindset along the way. And then I reposition myself so that I actually become the decision maker to start making powerful decisions that is going to move the business in the right way. The other part would absolutely be to find ways of being able to automate processes so that you're not stuck in the muck. If you're the genius behind your business, and you have a passion, you have a clarity, you have a sense, that has to be clearly communicated with all of your employees and all the people that work with you or you contract or whomever. And they've got to be in alignment with what your dreams are. But if you're stuck in the muck, then it's going to be a very hard haul to get out of that muck so that you can keep driving that vision. So remember, you're the dream maker. You're the vision behind your business. Stay really on top of that.
100%. And I think that's such a challenge for so many because you have this vision, you have these goals, right? And being able to give up some of that control so that you can work on what's most important is really hard for people because they know how they want it done. I know, like, even in day-to-day life, sometimes that's a struggle.
Absolutely. And then you also look at the finances that, am I going to have to hire somebody to be able to do it? Well, nowadays, the way that I designed that Flex interface was I hire people on an as-need basis. So if I have a particular project, I bring them on for that project. So they're not sitting idle, not, bringing money into the business. I bring people on and be able to, by hiring the right person, it's going to get done the first time. So by making these kind of decisions, yes, it may be a little bit of an investment, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you said, getting out of the muck, what have you explored in terms of tools or systems to help you get out of that muck?
A lot of it has, I've been starting to implement AI. I've been implementing it on a lot of my content creation. Also, I've been able to create my brand voice from AI, which now anytime that I start putting any information out there, it sounds like me, because there's nothing worse than reading something that sounds like it just came from AI.
Absolutely.
You've got to be able to learn how to work with AI so that you get the right results. And that's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I'll tell you what, it's really serving its purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So content, your brand voice, how else do you envision as you continue on growing and scaling, leveraging it?
Well, actually, what's happening is that I've adding an additional part of the business that is a continuation of the Flex Interface Project Fulfillment is I developed a SaaS product that connects engineers, high-tech professionals directly to the businesses that require their specific resources. And so by being able to implement AI, I'm able to have my CRM that I use AI so that I create automation, I create follow-up emails, create my brand voice so that it sounds like me, that's responding back to people on email, using AI to implement the content management for working on LinkedIn. So there's a number of areas that I'm beginning to implement it, and I will start implementing it also a lot on the sales process. We're actually looking at the website that we're developing right now for the SaaS product to use AI bots basically to answer all the questions and also even do some of the sales.
Yes.
Why not? I mean, it communicates like a human. It's going to have all the information about the product that I'm selling. And then if it doesn't have the right answer, or not the right answer, but if it doesn't know how to answer that question, then it can put that business or that individual directly in contact with me.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing what it can do. Even hearing the phone calls AI can have right now. It's so realistic.
It is. It's and very natural flowing, which I really am really appreciating on. So
Yeah.
it's important to be able to start learning what you can be able to do to implement AI into your business, and do it slowly, a little bit at a time, because I try to take something on so fast.
Yeah.
So many different things, video editing and this and that. And I lost it. It was that the technology was changing faster than I could learn it.
Oh, yeah.
So by having guidance, having a good consultant work with me, put me in line and in track with exactly what I needed to be able to do so that I could do this with the least amount of confusion.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. And I know it does change so quickly. How do you feel about the businesses who aren't implementing AI? What do you think the future holds for them?
Well, here's the thing. There's already predictions of about 85 million people getting displaced with AI. And it's not just the secretaries or the marketing people or the salespeople and stuff like this. It's not just them. It's also going to be engineers that do a lot of very complex analysis on the engineering requirements. What's happening is that by looking at your implementation of it, you've got to be able to realize that back up. If you don't implement it, other companies are going to start implementing it. And then they become a lot more efficient, a lot more cost effective, and then a lot more profitable. And so if you're not the implementer, and what I've been reading, what I've been told, you will be replaced. Even your business. I mean, there's a lot of not tech, whether it's construction or a lot of types of industries, a service type of industries that it does a lot. They do a lot, but it's going to be the ones that can have an automated process to take on the phone calls, to be able to set up the appointments, to make sure that customer service is handled properly. All these types of things. And that's when your business actually will be taken to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I like to think of AI as just being a productive tool, right? Something that makes you more productive in your day to day, and hopefully not necessarily replacing jobs, but changing the way jobs are, and the way that you work in a job. I think it's like any sort of transition from moving from horses to cars, like were jobs that were specific to having horses on the road, but then there was jobs specific to having cars on the road. So I think it'll be interesting to see just kind of what happens in the next few years with AI, because it's definitely booming and it's being developed quicker than we can keep up, as you said.
Absolutely. And a lot of them are not just staying within their specific niches. They're beginning to tie in multiple facets. Finding the right tool, there's so many things that are popping up, but do your research, find the right tool, find the one that's going to be the best fit for you and your business. It doesn't necessarily have to be a very expensive process to be able to do it. It will be a little bit of a learning process, but be the one that's actually going to be the implementer of it, because that's going to put you ahead of everybody else.
Yep, most definitely. All right. So I have loved this conversation. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about your growth plans, where you want to go in the future? Anything to kind of, add a nice closing to this?
Well, matter of fact, I've been approached by several investors on this new SaaS product, because right now it's being designed and developed for the high tech industry. but I plan to do this on multiple verticals to where, whether it's specialist surgeons, the medical field, it could be implemented in accounting and a lot of different type of professions where people could very quickly be able to be hired and for the period of time that they're needed because of their experience and their expertise. So that's where I'm looking at being able to really grow this type of business. But the biggest part of it is be ready to adopt new thoughts, new ideas, think outside the box because AI is doing a lot of that thinking right now. And if you can be able to embrace it, then you can be the one that actually implements it and benefits from it.
Yes, I love that. I think that a lot of the conversations I'm having with individuals are the concern that AI is going to make people lazy. And so I love the way that you just said that so nicely. But, leverage it to your benefit, use it for your own knowledge, and make sure that it is benefiting you in the way that it should. And then you'll continue keeping up with like the rest of the industry and the rest of the world as we're growing in this
Absolutely.
industry.
Absolutely. Have fun with it. That's the biggest part. Don't let it panic you. Have fun with it.
I do think it's fun, right? So many different, every day I'm surprised.
Oh my God, some of the stuff that I've been able to create and some of the stuff that's coming out on the internet, on even videos where you think it's the actual real person. And it's like, it's an AI character that you cloned after yourself. And I'm like,
Yes.
that is gorgeous.
Yes, right? And like the Instagrams that are getting started that are just AI, and people are like, oh my gosh, I love this person. It's like not a real person.
Exactly. So it's important to differentiate, the real person from the AI, but at the same time, it's absolutely fascinating to where maybe you're not the one that has to actually be on the video doing all the talking all the time, and that you can have AI be able to do that for you.
Absolutely. I was talking to one of my clients about that and how they wanted to have more content. And I was like, well, there's an AI for that.
Exactly.
And you don't necessarily have to be in the camera. You don't need to be in the spotlight.
Absolutely. I've known way too many people that are afraid of the camera, and this would be the way to get around it.
Absolutely. And then just I've been, playing around with Edit-N, which is insane to me, and the things that you can do there, and there's just so much. We could go on and on and on. Well, Art, thank you so much, and best of luck on all of your endeavors in the future. I know it's going to be huge.
Thank you.
So hopefully when you kind of take that next step, we can have you back on and you can talk about where you're at then.
That sounds wonderful. I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.